25 years ago, people would cut a beautiful tree without a second thought. Now the countryside is being respected and protected.
Future Forests is a plant nursery situated near Bantry in West Cork. It was the brainchild of Mike Collard, who arrived here in 1972 with his wife Cathy. They'd both left Oxford University with one question on their minds.
Can a person live on their allotted share of this earth without exploiting other people? And that was the question, and the only way to find that out was to find an acre and see if we could grow enough veg and be happy.
It was a big risk.
A big risk. I did know how to grow vegetables. I spent 6 months in a wall garden in Oxford after leaving the university, and I learnt more from an old man who'd been a gardener since he was 14 in that wall garden than I did in 18 months in Oxford University itself.
Mike's first foray into vegetable growing was far from successful and fell victim to the strong winds on the Cork coast. But this inadvertently sowed the seeds for Future Forests.
I learnt to plant willows from local people, and I used willows then to shelter my vegetables. That was the first tree planting I did. I decided that there could be a future and a way of supporting a family around the use of wood.
It was this idea that eventually led to the setting up of Future Forests. What's the philosophy behind what you're doing here?
To make a living in a way that's harmonious with nature and protects nature rather than exploits it. Hedgerows, shelter belts, garden trees, fruit trees. If we plant them and look after them while we're alive, we are leaving the planet in a better place.
Mike's daughter Maria found that she had inherited her father's passion for native trees and plants and is now in charge of the day-to-day running of Future Forests.
I think because it's a family business, you kind of want to break away and be independent. And I went to college and I did theatre production. But after doing lots of different things, I actually realised it was really in my heart, and I really, really enjoyed the business. So that's why I'm back.
There's a passion here for native species, isn't there? Why is that?
It's encouraging biodiversity in nature, and I think that's actually why my parents originally really started, because there wasn't readily available native plants, and what was being sold were things like leylandis and things that really aren't good for the environment, and that was one of my dad's goals, to make them available to everyone in the country.
Maria's partner Matty, who also works in the business, is a strong advocate of the Future Forest philosophy of promoting the planting of native trees and plants.
It sustains and promotes our native flora and fauna. So basically, if you plant native, you're going to be helping all the wildlife, from insects to birds. Literally, a native hedgerow will be alive with all our native species.
We don't have to plant native trees a lot of the time. We just have to encourage them. And one of the great things that forestry has done, by fencing off areas of the mountain, it has allowed native trees as well to come back.
This is our native hazel. It can be used in a variety of manners. Actually, it has many uses. You can actually keep it in a neat native hedge, and it'll stay nice and small for you. Or you can actually leave it grow into a fine big hazel bush, and it will actually produce nuts for you, which are edible and you can gather up in the autumn. This is the Gelder Rose by Burnhamopolis, and as you can see, it's got beautiful colour.
Absolutely beautiful colour.
Stunning, really. And it also produces a really, really lovely berry, so great for the birds as well.
Would this be low maintenance hedging?
This would be low maintenance hedging. You can just keep it clipped, or you can leave it grow.
Okay.
And like all native species, they nearly all have a couple of different purposes. And this one used to be known for its medicinal purposes.
Oh, really?
It was commonly called cramp bark, for obvious reasons.
Now, Matty, this is familiar.
This is the hawthorn.
Right.
It makes up a large bulk of the hedging mixture.
This is a big seller.
This is a big seller. We can hardly keep it in stock. As soon as it comes in, it goes out the door. It's very popular with farmers and the rep scheme. It's a stock-proof hedge. As you can see, it's a bit spiky.
Yeah.
And of course, for diversity, again, it flowers in May and it berries in the autumn.
Okay.
So it's a fantastic hedgerow plant.
Today, a large part of the Future Forest business is through mail order and online shopping. Customers can order bare root plants up to 5 feet tall and have them delivered to their door.
It all happened by accident. Even the first parcel that was delivered by post was a guy's brother up the country wanted plants desperately, and they got packed on the kitchen table at the home place probably about 20, 25 years ago. and then someone else wanted them, and that's how that started. No one ever sat down and wrote a business plan.
Shake up any excess soil.
We sell predominantly bare root, and not many people in the country sell bare root because it's messy and it's not easy to barcode, and it's a lot of the garden centres have focused primarily on potted, and it's just a hell of a lot cheaper. The overheads for producing a bare root tree are a hell of a lot lower. You can get a lot more bare root plants into a parcel than you could containerised plants, so it's a lot more economical to send as well.
The business has also benefited from the Rural Environment Protection Scheme, or REPS, which has seen 10,000 kilometres of hedgerow planted all over Ireland, alongside 1 million native broadleaf trees.
The REP scheme has got better and better as people have learned. When it first came out, hedgerows were decimated and the cause of reps. Now people are planting more than they've planted of native hedges than since the turn of the century, and this can't be bad. The last years have been the best 10 years for the Irish countryside, with hedgerow restoration, with tree planting. I feel there's a lot more to be done, but when you see hazels being used in towns, you realise that people are beginning to get a renewed respect for our natural beauties.
Future Forests has thrived on the changing attitude of Ireland's people towards their natural environment. But can this be sustained?
We might have to keep changing. The native plant side of Future Forests looks like it has a very bright future, and I'm doing a butterfly garden which is about how to use native plants to attract wildlife and insects and bees, and I see that side of business as being full of promise and hope.